Hello, DC official Discord. My name is Paul Kaminsky. I'm group editor, Metropolis Group at DC Comics, where I work on Superman and all sorts of cool stuff. And I'm here with Mr. Scott Snyder, architect behind DC K.O, and of course, Absolute Batman. And we're here to talk about DC K.O and answer your questions from the Discord community. Scott, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's jump in here. Batsy, the Dark Knight asks, which fight of DC K.O was your favorite?
Oh man, that's hard. I loved writing so many of them. I think, honestly, the last one. I mean, I love when Clark comes walking straight through Lex Luthor, and when he kind of confronts Darkseid, it's like everything that we've been building to the whole time. And I think all the temptation, all of the kind of heroism, all of the villainy, it's kind of all encapsulated in that one fight. For all of the bombast and the fun that we did with everything from boss battle to the gauntlet to the fight month, it really comes down to like Clark rejecting Darkseid's way, you know, fighting really not to be the King Omega, but instead to be part of a collective. I love it because it's the message, and I'm a big old softie for all of my like cruelty to all these heroes. I am a big softie at the end of the day.
And how about that design for Superman by series artist Javi Fernandez? Amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, Javi was just unbelievable. Javi and Zermanico and Josh also. I mean, the whole team, like Alex on colors, I mean, and Haas on letters. I mean, it was so fun. It just felt like this incredibly out of control, almost unhinged energy the whole time, which was part of the fun.
Yeah.
So again, and a lot of that comes from you guys out there in the Discord community, the readers, the fans, the retailers. Like, we felt such enthusiasm from you and support. It just makes us want to go bigger and better and all of that stuff. So we really appreciate it. It's been an incredible year.
All right, Peter S. Svensson asks, if you could have 4 more pages to expand on a fight, which fight would you give more attention to? That's a good question.
Honestly, the absolute characters versus the main universe characters. I wish I had like 40 pages for that because I had so many thoughts that we didn't get to, you know. But, you know, they might meet again someday, so you never know.
They might. Vicious with an X asks, which KO superhero is your favorite and which DC KO supervillain is your favorite? Because there was both in this, Scott.
Oh yeah, that was the fun. It wasn't just like heroes, it was heroes, villains, all of it. So, I mean, the Joker is always my favorite villain. I know he gets a lot of screen time, he gets a lot of the spotlight, but like, I love that you just don't know what he's gonna do, whether he's gonna call in Mixie and become Emperor Joker, or if he's literally gonna switch sides and become a parademon. He's just like an agent of chaos all the time. Hero-wise, I mean, again, I'll be a softie, but this is the first time I really got to write Clark in a long time, in over 10 years, in like a deep way. And when I wrote him last time, like I was still young and kind of figuring it out, and I have a different relationship with him now. And I feel like, especially in moments like these, where times are tough, and you know, I think people are looking for a hero to really inspire them in all ways, in all aspects of their life. Like, he just takes on a different meaning. Like, he's the kind of guy that looks at us and says, "We can do better. You can be better." And there's just a real incredibly energizing tenderness and uplifting quality to that. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just a joy to write. I miss writing him already. I want to write him again.
Hub City Question asks, hey Scott, a lot of comparisons have been made between DC K.O and the time-honored tradition of tournament arc in shonen battle manga.
True.
How much of an influence did manga have on this storyline? What are some of your favorite action manga?
Well, I mean, like, my kids were crazy into manga. I'm old school manga. I'm like Vampire Hunter D, Akira, Megazone 24. Like, you know, I'm old. Battle Angel Alita. That's like 80s manga. And then I took a big break, and then it was like my kids got into Death Note, My Hero Academia, Berserk, and all of those. So manga plays a really big influence. I mean, I love like the fact that it's so propulsive, so soapy, and it's like giant emotions. You know, it wears its heart on its sleeve. It's oversized, epic. So those are all qualities that I've always kind of embraced in comics, and I gravitate towards. So it was a big influence in this, you know. And I think that like there's no real, for me, divide between loving manga and loving American comics or superhero comics. I think they have a lot of the same priorities, and there's a lot we can learn from them, they can learn from us. So yeah, man, like, it's all good.
Altamont 498 asks, which characters didn't fight each other in DC K.O. would you like to have fight and why? And who do you think would win?
Oh man, I wanted to see Deathstroke fight a lot of people, but we didn't have, he wasn't in there, but you could only fit so many. That's really what it was. Like, there were like, I really wanted to see Starro fight a lot of people because he was kind of like our old version, like Jarro, but which I tried to fit in. But so I wanted to see him fight a lot of people. I would have loved to see Lobo fight more people. Lobo was really fun. I wanted to see Kara actually really get a chance to fight. I mean, I love writing Zatanna. Zatanna would have been fun to do even more with. Like, honestly, the balance with this book was like trying to pack as much as we could in 5 issues, and at the same time, really keep it contained so you guys felt like you were just getting the most bang for your buck. But I would have done it for 10 issues. So.
All right, David the Johnson asks, which fighting games, if any, influenced DC K.O.?
I mean, again, I'm old school, so Street Fighter 2, and I have a big old arcade in our playroom that me and I don't think I'm a bad parent, 6-year-old play together. And he loves all these 80s fighting games, so we play Final Fight, Streets of Rage, Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage 3. I'm always Zan. I'm like the old cyborg dude.
Sure. Renegade,
Double Dragon, Altered Beast, like all those. I love old fighting games, man. They're great. So yeah.
Cybernex 007. The enjoyment you have while writing DC K.O. radiates off the page, especially in those slight moments where you reach out and bring in commentary around the characters, such as the nod to the fan response around Absolute Batman's Bat logo. I like that too, by the way.
Thank you.
Are there any moments that distinctly stick with you and still fill you with the excitement after being able to pull it off in DC K.O.?
The whole event was built around that. I mean, so there were so many moments. I mean, when Joker grows with the Adam's belt and then starts eating people, and when Batman finally shows up and kills him with the bang, and Superman, honestly, fighting Absolute Superman and having to figure out how to take that on. I mean, all of them, it was just like being a kid and getting to mash these together. But the real honest answer is, like, when you do an event like this, it's more than a team effort. The whole company comes together to do them, and we had the best leader ever in Paul over here, whose love and enthusiasm for these characters in this universe is more than palpable and is like the real energizing fuel behind this event. I have an incredible partner and like brother and best friend in Josh Williamson. We've been friends 15 years, and I can't say enough good things about him being like the backbone of so much at DC, but also this event too with me. And again, the art team was just out of control. And so the real fun on the page, when you have a team like that, and you're putting this stuff together with people that love it as much as you do, like, it's all fun. It's fun. I mean, it's work, and there are moments where you're like, oh my God, are we gonna pull this off? But are we coming in with the wheels on fire? But like, it was a blast. I would do it all over again, sincerely.
We had fun.
We did, dude. I want to do it again.
All right, well, Cybernex isn't done here with us.
Okay.
In DC K.O. #2, what did the thought process look like for the objects to include? That's interesting.
I mean, it was really hard because there were so many other ones like we didn't put in, like, Batmobiles,
sure.
And there was like other Kirby stuff, and there were things from other mythologies, and it was kind of like what would give us the best moments and have things that would represent all the different mythologies and surprise people and their abilities. So it was hard. I mean, again, like this whole event, every time you guys ask a question here, I think my answer is like, I wish we had even more and could do even more. But yeah, we just picked the ones that would give us, I thought, like the best representation of the whole DCU and the best moments to play with.
Okay, so Trendy MB asks, how do you make sure events like KO don't harm the narrative pace of the involved comic runs? That's a really good question.
It is. We're really sensitive to that. I mean, I think, when I started at DC, events were done slightly differently. And I grew up on events too like this, and there's nothing wrong with them, but that would really take over a lot of the books. And when we have more of them, we just want to be sensitive, I think, to your guys' reading enjoyment. And so we want to give you a lot of different options. So with something like KO, you could buy just the 5-issue series. You could buy the 5-issue series and the fights. You could buy the 5-issue series, the fights, and the mini-series, like the stuff happening in Teen Titans and the tie-ins, and you could buy the Kids Are All Fight and the boss battle. So it makes it modular so that you can kind of decide what your comfort level is with it. And I enjoy that. That's what we did with metal and death metal, and I believe in that kind of event because it allows you to kind of decide how much you want to explore it. And our job is to just try and make it so awesome on every level. You want to buy all of it, and luckily it seems like many of you did, so we feel really good about that. But thank you all even if you just picked up one issue, we appreciate it.
Well, James asks what that communication looks like with people such as Aquaman writer Jeremy Adams or John Layman, who was writing Titans for that run.
Oh yeah, well, so we pitch out, what we do is it was actually like a year ago, we pitch out pretty much the whole story to everybody, so they understand like what's in it. We talk to them about, is there anything that their character or their book could use on the other side of it that we could provide, like a blast of energy from Superman's destroying the heart, something, emotional repercussion from the event that they suffer, or that inspires them to do something else, this mysterious return of a character, an object. And then I really believe like the job or the utility of these events is to kind of not just be something in and of itself. It's got to be a great story, but it's also got to kind of have an effect and do things that help the line on the other side. And so for us, it was about talking to all the writers, seeing if there was anything the book could do for them. And also it created, the opportunity to do a bunch of new books and to really foreground a lot of our fan favorite characters that don't always get as much love as kind of the big A-listers. So, we got to work together, Paul and the great editorial teams at DC and creators, on formation of new books. Like for Next Level, we got Zatanna, and we got Deathstroke, and we got Lobo, and we got Batwoman. And to see the response to those, they were so far beyond our expectations. I mean, that to me, it's so rewarding to know that something we did with an event made you want to read more comics. Like that's the best feeling. So thank you guys so much.
Chris asks, was there something that you drastically changed from your initial drafts on your story to the finished product? And what was the thought process behind that, if the answer is yes?
I mean, I don't think we changed that much. I'm an outline, I have a very loose outline, but that outline has like certain beats they're really big emotional beats, One thing that did change was issue 2, when they were going after the objects. Originally, we were going to have that be a big fight gauntlet, and then we realized we just didn't have room to do the fights in an issue, and so that's when we decided on doing the fight month, because we were like, these need more breathing room, and then that's how we decided to do the objects. So it really was just a matter of one time in the story being like, we're never going to fit this in, so let's just blow it out.
That's right. Yeah, that was fun. That ran through a bunch of different books. We had 8 different issues for those.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Bad Astronaut. Hello, Scott. I'm really enjoying DC K.O. and all the chaos that is coming with it. The powerful item free-for-all was a lot of fun. But my question is in regard to Superman in K.O. There's the board game discussions and the president remark from Bruce. So what about this character inspired you to write this story, or what themes about his worldviews did you want to explore?
That is a great question. I really appreciate you asking that. Because, when you do a story like this, or metal or death metal, or, Absolute Batman too, but especially these big events, a lot of it is about creating these big moments that show why our heroes are so awesome, or the villains are so awesome, and they're super outsized and maximalist kind of in your approach, right? But at core, this was a really simple story for us. It was about Clark is a character who could fix everything, who could reshape the world. And he's given an opportunity to do it on a massive scale through this. If you win this tournament, the entire universe is yours to reshape. And you could get rid of everything bad. You could get rid of sickness and death and pain and all of it, and war. And that's kind of what people ask of Clark on a normal day-to-day basis, right? The question is, why don't you take it all over? Why don't you make everything better? And it is really tempting in times like these where there's so much to be afraid of, and everyone wants someone to come and fix it or just help. And the lesson, I think, of Superman is that that wouldn't be fixing it. That would be the opposite of what he stands for. He stands for, he sees the best in us and asks us to be better. He is inspired by us, a godlike figure inspired by our capacity for good and kindness and generosity is the power of that character. Wonder Woman to me is someone who tries to lead us actively, towards the light. That's not really Clark. Clark does it differently. Clark is just, is again inspired by what we could be and by our goodness. Bruce doesn't really care about inspiring us, in my opinion, at all. He's just on his own mission, and the wonderful thing about Bruce is like, he's just leading by example without realizing it, by being like, you overcome trauma, you change the world, you use it as fuel to do that. But that's the brilliance of what Clark is, right? He's this guy who could do anything and chooses to find inspiration in us. And so that was the story. It was like in a moment when we all want someone to take the controls and fix the world and make it the thing we want, whether it's what other people want or this person, that's not his role. That's not the role of these heroes. The role of these heroes is to make us brave enough to do that ourselves, come together and change the world as a collective. And that's what he chooses. He chooses the energy of creation, the energy of collectivism, the energy of beginnings, the energy of hope, and that's why it was so fun to write, is when you know what it's about and it's got a beating heart, no pun intended, but when it has that, everything else is just playtime, It's a personal story at the end of the day, and if you know that and what it's about and what it means to you, then it can be a 200-foot Joker or any of that stuff at any point, and it all can work.
I'll never forget when you pitched that, because it unlocked the whole event for me.
I remember when I pitched it to you too, because I was just figuring it out. I was like, I think it's this.
Yeah, it's amazing, because that's exactly what Superman would do. No one should have that much power, not even me.
Exactly. And again, I can't say enough good things about Superman Guru over here. I was always like, I'm right? He would, because yeah.
Absolute Arcana asks, hello, Scott. I have been enjoying DC K.O. so far, especially Night Fight.
Nice.
What is it about DC K.O. that you really love to write about, hoping you have a great writer's journey?
Oh, thank you. I mean, I loved writing it because it's at core, what these stories, strive for. It's massive conflict. Usually you do a story where it builds and builds and builds to get to that fight, or the fights are leading to that. This one, it was like you throw them into the ring in one, and all the conflict's there, and all the scale is there. And I love that about events. It kind of it's like everything on steroids and maximum caffeine and all of it, and I enjoy that kind of bonkers energy. But I will say, one of my favorite things was watching Josh Williamson and Dan Mora on Night Fight. That book was the one part I was like, man, I wish I had written that. But the funny part is I wouldn't have written it as well as Josh did. I mean, I think it's actually a classic Batman story. Batman having to go up against the sort of grown-up and Batman versions of all of his Robins, or the Robins and the children essentially he raised, and having to kind of, overcome them to go back to being who he was, or make that decision whether he should or he shouldn't, to me is such a new and a primal challenge for him, and it just goes someplace we've never seen, and I just love it. It's one of my favorite Batman stories, and it's I can't say enough good things about what Josh and Dan did with it, so I appreciate you asking that and referencing that, because to me it's a real, not a hidden gem, but it's one of the books that's going to let stand the test of time even after this event is over and everything like that.
Sova asks, hey there, Mr. Snyder. Do you have a favorite modern DC character made within the last decade?
Oh, well,
I
was about to have the most obvious answer in the world. Made within the last decade? I mean, I like the ones we made a lot. I like the Court of Owls and Duke, and the Batman Who Laughs are super fun. But I mean, I love a lot of the characters James made too, Punchline and Ghostmaker, and I like what Matt's doing right now with Minotaur. Minotaur's really cool.
That's cool.
I know he's not new, but I love what Josh did with Doomsday, with Time Trapper, and
that was great. I
don't know. It's it's an embarrassment of riches right now with good characters that are kind of being made right and left. And the Absolute Universe is a place that I'm very proud to be a part of, for all of the kind of creation of, even though they're classic characters, the kind of new versions of them there.
And to shout out to Dan Mora, Night Fight artist Dan Mora, he created a new character for Justice League that I absolutely adore. If you haven't picked up Justice League Unlimited yet, Cadejos. He's like this werewolf, or not a werewolf, he's like this big wolf character with fire coming out of his face. It's awesome, Dan.
That sounds so cool.
Yes, very, very cool. All right, we're in the home stretch here. Valentino MB asks, hey Scott, huge fan. I've been thinking a lot about Darkseid's role on both DC K.O. and the Absolute Universe with his omnipresence and essence of evil. Where do you write him from? What do you think makes the character so essential and important for these stories?
That's a great question too. I mean, we talked a lot about this, in the room, about what Darkseid is and why he's the biggest kind of villain that we have at DC and what he represents. And ultimately, like, it's not even the physical manifestation of him that's so scary. It's the idea that he is sort of the belief that all things should be taken unto him and therefore ended. But really taken unto him. He wants to control everything, and he wants to stop creation, and he wants to stop new beginnings and any kind of change, and he wants to absorb it and just have it be still within him. And that's it. He's kind of the ending of all things. But he's the desire for that. It's not just the end. It's like the desire for control, and to be the only point of view, to have everything be of you, to take it unto yourself and transform it into yourself and have no one else, to be alone with that. And I think, as somebody that writes comics is so collaborative. It's collaborative as a creative medium. It's collaborative with you guys, with the fans, with the retailers. It's a collective effort. It requires all of us to get together and not only make the books, but it is an intensely social thing, I think, in the way that we read comics and talk to each other about them. And so he's kind of the perfect antithetical force, right? He's sort of like, all stories should be about me and what I want, and therefore there should be no new ones, and I am it. And he rails against the classic and he rails against the new. It all should just be, of him, and that's it. And I think our job as storytellers and your job as fans is just to prove him wrong. That, there's always new stories to be told in the main universe and new universes, and it's not only alive and well comics, but it's having a great moment. So that's why he's kind of like. When I was pitching it to Paul, I was like, he's almost like the troll online that's like, oh man, comics is dying, comics is over, comics. So that's like the simple reductive answer, but in a broader way, he's that. He's kind of, he's the belief that really there should be no risk taking, nothing new, nothing changing. It should all just be, one thing and still.
Yeah, the ultimate rock to crash against in that way. I think Paul Levitz referred to Darkseid as Jack Kirby's gift that keeps on giving.
Oh yeah.
It's a nice summation. Lillian asks, what was the most exciting part of the writing process for K.O., and what was the most challenging?
The most exciting part was honestly the collaboration with Josh and with Paul and Javi and Zermanico and Alex, and the way that, when you write these things, you never know. I've never worked with Javi before, so I worked with him on one Elseworlds thing that I co-wrote a while ago, but I hadn't worked with him intensely before, and so you never know what you're going to get back and how it's going to go. And within a couple pages, he did that amazing board game spread, and it was just like, oh, this guy enjoys this as much as me. And so the excitement, there were tons of moments I was excited for. I knew the final battle with Darkseid that was going to go back in time and forward and be this kind of epic world-spanning battle. I knew it was going to be incredibly fun to write. I knew Batman coming back and killing the Joker would be a once-in-a-lifetime thrill. But again, the real fun of it and the most exciting part was it was all new to all of us. We didn't know if it would work. We do these things, and I swear to God, we love it. We don't know if you'll like it, But when you do it and you feel the energy of everybody in the room, us as a team, just in our treehouse making it, and we're having so much fun, the hope is you will, and to see you come back and enjoy it as much as you have, it really does mean a lot. I know it sounds corny, but it's the truth. So thank you guys so much. So that's the most exciting thing too. It's just, you make it, you love it, it's new to you as you're doing it, you have no idea if it's gonna work or not. And then to put it out in the world and have you guys come up at conventions and be like, I really like that meant something to me, that's the best part, right?
Absolutely. All right, we have our last question. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we got Eugene here. What's your favorite character you've gotten to write during DC K.O. that you haven't had as much experience writing up to that point?
That is a great question.
Right? That's a good one to end on. Thanks, Eugene.
Yeah, really, I think Lobo was the one that I was really excited all of a sudden to get to do, and partly, I saw what Scotty and Jorge were doing on the side, and it was just so exciting. I was like, I just want to get a tiny chance to write a little bit of it. So if you're, by the way, you clearly are reading Lobo, or you tried Lobo, because again, the numbers were great, but please pick it up because it's one of the best books we're doing this year. But yeah, he was a lot of fun because he's always breaking the rules, and in an industry where you know, every once in a while people push back on that. It's a great feeling to be able to take somebody that lights a cigar and is like, I'm coming for all the rules.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much for joining us. DC Official Discord. This is Paul Kaminsky and Scott Snyder signing off. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoy the next thing.